Fish.
Pete Bryce on ICTV. Today we're going to continue with once a week strength training. This is part 2, so if you haven't seen part 1, go check it out. We did that last week. It's up on our podcast page, and it's up on YouTube as well. So we've got Coach Gallagher here. We're going to ask him a bunch of questions and see what kind of feedback he gives us here. So, Marty, the first question I've got today is that, there's lots and lots of interest being generated by this once-a-week training that we've been talking about. But how would you start a young athlete on a program like this? And by the way, is there an age minimum that you would recommend?
Yeah, we don't really want to see young boys showing up to lift serious weights until they hit puberty. However, when they hit puberty, that's the ideal time to commence progressive resistance training because, they've all of a sudden their virginal systems are being, shot through with testosterone, and if you couple that with some good hardcore resistance training, the gains that they make then stay with them for life. I know I was one of those kids. I happened.
I was too, yeah.
Yep.
Yep. And you started at what age? You started at like
11.
11. I started at 14.
Yep. Yeah. Well, you were a late bloomer.
Well, yeah, compared to you.
Well, up here in Hillbillyville, Pennsylvania, where you and I are from, right? I mean, that's,
That's all we had to do.
Right?
Right.
That'll work
fish,
or work in the mines.
and work on the farm and bale hay.
Yeah.
But,
Yes.
So talk about how you would start a young athlete off on a program like this, once a week training.
Squat, bench, and deadlift 1 time a week, man. That's it. Again, you got to have expert technique, and it helps to have an expert eye. Right?
Yeah, that's the main thing, isn't it? Starting off, and that's kind of how you started off with the proper training.
Proper coaching. I had really good coaches breathing up my ass, right from the start, which was great. I was very lucky. Just it was like, I don't know, a Finnish kid growing up in a ski lodge and becoming a long distance ski jumper. I just happened to be raised in an area where there was a lot of Olympic weightlifters, and powerlifting didn't even come into being until 1965. So everybody was an overhead lifter, which in hindsight I think was a good thing because we learned about overhead lifting, squatting, all the a real like almost a religious approach towards technique. If you're an Olympic lifter and you want to get better, you have 2 choices. You get stronger or you improve your technique. And
right, and overhead presses were your thing.
Yeah, which of course is the least technical of the lifts, right? That's the most brutish of the 3 lifts. So, and again, what did we do? We did overhead press, snatch, clean and jerk, squat. That was pretty much it. We might have done some dips to help the press. But again, limited training menu. So if I were to start a beginner kid, assuming that he was training under me, we just would squat, bench, and dead, and we would work him up to, in week 1, whatever a comfortable top set of 5. We love the 5 rep set. We think the 5 rep set is the best combination between high rep hypertrophy and low rep pure power and peaking of strength. We love the 5. So you work up to a crisp, technically perfect, full range of motion, ultra deep squat for 5. Bench press, I don't know, touch and go. Maybe use dumbbells for the first initial, again, sets of 5, deadlift, sets of 5, right? But
Yeah.
if you're training once a week and you want to be serious about it, honestly, on the squat, the mistake that most guys are making is that they, when they come in to once a week training and they see our template, right, they're looking at it on paper, they go, that's not enough. There's no way you can make gains working up to one all-out set of squats, one all-out set of benches, one all-out set of deadlifts. So the classic response is, we're going to heavy it up, right? So what do? Well, I don't know, maybe they do 3 sets of 5 in the squat, or 1 set of 5 and then 2 sets of 8 in the back off, or maybe they do a set of 5 in the squat and then they do some leg presses. You know what I mean? They heavy up the 1 set of 5 that we would recommend, or maybe even initially 1 set of 8 if it was the beginning of a 12-week period on a cycle. You tracking? You with me so far?
Yeah, and you don't necessarily have to, like when we say once a week training, you don't have to do it all in a day. I mean, some guys
but let's stick with a day, because that's the ultra basic, irreducible core fundamental of strength training. You can make gains on once a week training. There are guys that have become world champions and set world records being forced to power train once a week. There's something unique about absolute strength. It's not like explosive strength, you know, Olympic lifting. It's not like sustained strength, you know, like MMA strength. It's not like the other biomotor attributes, speed, endurance, flexibility, agility. Absolute strength doesn't require a lot of training. In fact, there's a pretty good case can be made that too much training is counterproductive. Now, what's optimal? Most great powerlifters, most of the elite all-time world record holders trained each lift once a week. What we have done is we've just condensed 3 lifts spread out over a 7-day period down to 1 when life and circumstance dictate that, you know, that's what you got to do. But rest assured, if you are forced to train 1 day a week, you can make substantial and sufficient gains. I personally have, right? I've been forced to use that system, and I had really good results, you know. Now, is it an end-all, be-all? No. Is anybody saying that once a week trumps? No. But it is sort of the ultra core base, irreducible. There's nothing less than once a week training. What else? The only thing less you can do is not train.
Right, and I mean, even world champions, you know, world champion IPF guys have been created from 1 day a week training. You know, look at Dave Jacoby.
Right.
He was a truck driver. He only had time. You know, this is where life dictated how he was going to train, and 1 day a week was all he had.
I also believe that Dennis Wright, who is Doug Furness's mentor and who is also a long-distance truck driver, I believe he was a once-a-week trainer too. No, that's not true.
Yeah.
Dennis trained twice a week. But let's just say that, again, think of it this way, even given all the time in the world, elite powerlifters are picking each lift 1 time a week.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? Well, the squat and the deadlift use a lot of the same muscles. And again, we're not talking, I mean, if you're, you know, I don't want to say extremely weak, but there's a big difference between, you know, a guy who's squatting 250 for 5 and a guy squatting 550 for 5 in terms of recovery time. Right?
Yeah, it takes you much longer to recover from the big, heavy weights.
There's a proportional relationship between intensity and volume.
Right.
And So to keep the purity of the 1 day a week training going, you have to modulate each of the 3 lifts. Whereas if you spread the 3 lifts out over a 7-day training week, well, then you can back up the lifts with auxiliary lifts or assistance exercises. You know what I mean? If you pick, let's say, for example, a 2 day a week power training split, which is like what Hugh Cassidy would use, would be on day 1 squat and bench, on day 2 deadlift and overhead press, right?
Right.
Those are your 4 main lifts. Now, can you sprinkle in some arms, some abs? Yeah, probably, right? But that's sort of like dessert after, you know, a full course meal.
Right.
You get all your, you get your squats and your benches out of the way, and if you have time and energy left over to, you know, blast triceps, then yeah, damn, that's a good thing to do. And, you know, after you deadlift and you do your press behind the necks, if you have some gas left over, you know, and you want to do some heavy curls, well, yeah, that's great. That's a great thing to do, right?
Yeah, why not?
But if
hey,
you
by
put,
the way,
yeah.
I just wanted to say, I noticed you're sideways today. We're going to try to fix that. If your obliques start to cramp up on you from being sideways, just let me know. We can take a break, play some music or something.
What?
Yeah, I told you, man, it's a surprise with every show. I know. It's the Where's Waldo effect. I found him. We'll work on getting that fixed. I know Stacy's trying to, our engineer Stacy is working hard on this, trying to get it all resolved.
All right, well, I mean,
all right. The show must go on.
The show must go on.
How about a,
this is like a Jamiroquai, this is like the Jamiroquai video where he's walking around. You remember that one? I can't remember, what song was that? I can't remember it. We're big Jamiroquai fans here. Go ahead.
How about more of, well, we were kind of just talking about this too, but just a regular person not wanting to be a world champion or anything. I mean, what would you advise for them?
You know, I don't even know if they have to use a. I mean, it's nice to have access to a barbell, but we were talking about this the other day. Do you know what a goblet squat is, where you hold a kettlebell under your neck?
Yeah, we just posted a nice video from the pole barn over there with you guys.
Yeah, that will, if you can give a very strong person a very severe workout just with a goblet squat. And for normal people, it's almost like, I don't even know if they have to front squat or back squat with a barbell if they really get a piece of goblet squatting. And it's safe because you hold the weight here. Anytime you get into trouble, well, you just put it down, right? It's an easy exercise to bail on. I know in my own case, man, you give me a 80 or 90 pound kettlebell and I have to grunt, I mean hard, to make 5 or 6 reps, right?
Yeah.
Which is cool because I use a lot more than that when I back squat in the barbell, and I'm thinking to myself, well, why? Maybe you don't need to back squat with the barbell if you can really tax your legs like that.
You're using the different intensity enhancers, the grind speed and all that.
Yes. So okay, why don't you make that your leg exercise always leads. Leg power is the key to human power. That's why strength athletes always and forever legs are predominant. So a beginner person can probably generate all the resistance they can handle in a goblet squat. Bench, we love the bench. We really like dumbbell benching because you can get sort of a pre-stretch at the beginning of each rep, right? I mean, you can really make bench pressing hard with dumbbells, which is what we want. Our whole strategy is to make lightweights heavy. We want exaggerated and extended ranges of motion, pauses, ultra hard lockouts, anything we can do to make it more difficult. Everyone else is trying to make it easier. We're trying to find ways to make it more difficult.
Well, the nice thing about the dumbbell press too is it holds each arm accountable independently. So you're not getting in a bad habit of like pressing harder with your dominant arm. It helps you kind of even out.
Love dumbbells, particularly for people that are learning how to bench. When you become accomplished with dumbbells, barbells are easy and natural.
Yeah, it is. You're starting, the dumbbells are harder to master because it's more balanced, they're independent.
Yes, exactly.
You're having to get the weight up, into position and then, come back down. And so it's a whole technique you got to develop. By the way,
exactly.
About the goblet squat we were just talking about, that incidentally is not only good for beginners, but it's kind of where you want to start when you're learning how to squat because it shows you, it really helps you define and perfect your technique, right?
Well, we've actually found that it's easier to instill proper squat technique with the goblet squat than the freehand squat. There's something about having a counterbalance in front of you and under your chin that it makes attaining and retaining the upright torso, the vertical shins. Really, you only want the femurs to move during the squat, right? The shins are upright and solid, and the torso is upright and solid. And really, the only thing that moves is the femurs, right? And it's all leg. If you squat that way, and that's what we want. We want all leg.
For anybody who wants to see just that, a great example of the goblet squat, we just posted a video of you coaching a kid named, I think his name's Riley, right?
We call him Riley the Robot.
Yeah, so he's on there. Just punch into YouTube Marty Gallagher kettlebell goblet squat, and it'll come right up with a technique and Marty's coaching through it. Just check it out. That's a great example of a goblet squat.
And we take the ideas. We take that goblet squat technique, and then we transfer it to the barbell front squat, where they're using the Olympic grip or the false grip. Then once you master that, you're allowed to go to the barbell high bar back squat, and again we have to replicate that technique that we learned on the kettlebell front squat. Now we're on the barbell back squat, and the fifth variation is the barbell low, the low bar barbell back squat, and again we have to retain that same vertical shin, vertical back, vertical torso, femurs only. So that's the name of that. But the mistake that so many of these guys make, and I think we will reiterate one more time, is they don't have faith in the integrity of the program. If you're doing once a week training, squat, bench, dead, and you're working up to a periodized set, and we always have a plan, that's another thing. Typically we have a 12-week game plan, which will have 3-4 week micro cycles tucked inside a 12-week macro cycle. Every 4 weeks we're tweaking reps. Every week for 12 consecutive weeks we're increasing poundage. Usually in the squat and the dead, 10 pounds a week. Usually in the bench press, 5 pounds. Doesn't sound like much. Over 12 weeks, it's a 120-pound increase in the squat and the dead, 60-pound increase in the bench. Again, we're just talking normal people here. We're not talking elite athletes. We're talking guys from the neighborhood kind of stuff. So we like to start our periodized cycles maybe 10% below capacity. That allows us to kind of get a running start right? And the first 4 weeks are really, because the poundages are so light, we can really ingrain these exaggerated techniques that we talk about, right? Which is real important, because it all breaks down to either techniques and tactics, okay? That's it. In progressive resistance, it's techniques and tactics, that's it. So techniques, how do you ingrain technique? You allow yourself to handle lightweight very precisely, and you really become like a technical artist. And you take pride in that, and you strive to get better. Now, in addition, tactically, what you're doing is every week you're holding yourself accountable. Now, as long as you make, now, and we'll back up, in the periodized cycle of 12 weeks, maybe for the first 4 weeks, we would do 2 weeks of 8s and 2 weeks of 6s, okay? The middle 4 weeks, always 4 weeks of 5s. Again, strength athletes love 5s. It's the best combination between higher rep, hypertrophy, lower rep, strength, focus. Right, so the middle 4 weeks of 5s, right? So for the final 4 peaking weeks, what are we going to do? Oh, how about this? A 4, a 3, a 2, a 1, boom, right? Right. Peak that. And you do that in all 3 lifts, right? And each week in each lift, you have a target rep and poundage. And if you make all 12 weeks, guess what? You've just justified the process. And guess what? We've had a lot of great athletes justify that work up to a top set, bag it, move on strategy. Numerous guys, innumerable world champions and world record holders, including Kirk. He's the most obvious example.
And from what I understand from listening to you, these guys on these 12-week cycles, Kirk, all these other guys, they hit those numbers every week religiously, didn't they? They
Yes.
might miss them once in a great while, maybe even once in a cycle, but that was about it, wasn't it?
Yeah, and again, why was that? It was because they were ruthless in their self-assessment, right? When they went into a cycle, there was no glorification or ego. No, on the contrary, they were like, you know what? I have really got to shit and get it, and we got to start now. And we've got Kirk. Actually, we stretched it out to 16 weeks toward the end, and that worked better for him. It was more of a slower ramp up, right? And he would take like 4 to 6 weeks totally raw, but it was serious raw lifting. Right? I mean, it was just, no suit, no belt, no wraps, nothing. But he pushed himself in that, and that provided the base so that when he jumped on and he started adding in, even the lifting belt, it made a huge difference with him. And again, what was Karwoski? The greatest squatter in history, squatted 1 time a week, worked up to 1 top periodized set. That was it. He didn't do any calf raises. He didn't do any leg curls. He didn't do any back off sets. He didn't do any leg presses. You know what I mean? He just, as long as he made that 1 set of squats, and he made it for 12 to 16 consecutive weeks, spiked the ball, he's the winner.
You remember we asked him one time, we said, did you leg press? He said, I did it 1 time, but he said, but it was too much work putting all the plates on and off the thing.
No, it wasn't no. It wasn't for Kirk, it was for me and Bob. Because we were the ones who put the...
loaded it up?
Yeah, we were the ones who loaded and unloaded the hundreds. And we loaded like every 100 they had in the place. And he's like yawning at 15 reps, and it's like, God almighty, this is... And then we had to unload it. I mean, it ruined my deadlift workout that week. It was like, no, we're not doing this. And he's like yawning, he's going like, yeah, I think I got a pretty good leg pump. I was like, yeah, I guess so, Cartman.
And that was the end of his leg pressing career.
And then he would do calf raises, and like every pound that was on the machine, and then they were stacking hundreds on top, and he's still going. And he's going like, "Can you guys get some more weight?" And we're like, "No, we can't. We're tired. This is enough."
Speaking
okay.
Of all that, let's talk about probably the most important thing here, which is safety.
Okay.
How do we take it to the limit while still being safe?
You don't have to fail with the rep to know that you shouldn't attempt the rep, right? Seriously.
And what do you call it? You have a saying for that. You have.
Oh yeah, failure minus one.
Failure minus one, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean we're not kamikaze fighters, you know. We're not. You don't have to.
Yeah,
you don't have to miss the
bar,
rep.
especially if you've been doing this for a while. You know if you've got another one in the tank.
And you know what? You know when you don't.
You know when you don't, and if you decide to gamble, and you have to do everything you can to, you know, on a bench or whatever, you start using your legs and arching your back, and it looks like a circus, and that's where the injuries come in.
Exactly. When you break outside the technical boundaries, we have tight technical boundaries. As long as you stay within those technical boundaries, you either push through or you fail, but you learn to fail safely, right? And again, with that kind, I mean, we always use spotters when we're talking that kind of weight. If you're training alone, it's just like, no, you don't try that suspect rep. It's just like, if you make the rep and you can't make another, you've done your duty. You've done your job. You've given 100 or 102%. There's nothing more that you can do. Okay?
Yeah.
You're done. That's great. Wow. More than likely, you've tripped the hypertrophy trigger. Most trainees never get to that kind of intensity. They're dicking around with whatever, you know, 8 times 3 at 60%, or 5 times 5, or, you know, it's all very moderate and very modest, very admirable, very hard, but what it lacks is the degree of intensity that I see routinely exhibited with champion powerlifters that you don't see in the general public, not even close. And again, it's the idea that it might be a little bit of a generalization, but I think that with classic bodybuilding tactics like, let's say, Schwarzenegger, who would perform 700 sets a week, that I think would be akin to flogging a muscle to death, right? Whereas a guy like Kirk or Dorian Yates might perform 70 sets a week, right? And that's more like, as Dorian told me one time, oh, it's like, you know, if you shoot the bloke through the heart with the shotgun, you don't need to waste more bullets.
Yeah, and I much more agree with his philosophy, and that's how I've trained and gotten the best results.
Given a choice, would you prefer to do 70 or 700? I opt for 70.
I don't have the energy either, because I'll tell you, after you do one set to failure on, say, a bench press,
what else are you gonna do? What else are you gonna do?
Well, yeah, if you do set 2, you might get 5 or 6, and then you just keep going down. So what I find that works best is you do just like, you know, what Dorian did and all these guys. You do one set to failure on like a flat bench, and then if you want to go over to the incline, you're still fired up, ready to go, and you're strong on the incline for that one set to failure.
Good. I like that. I like that.
Success with that.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
that's good. But now let's loop back around because we want to finish up with the 1 time a week training. It's not the end all be all, okay, but it is the irreducible, ultra basic power training tactic, right? You can't do less than train 1 time a week with a 3 lift limited training menu. Anything less than that would be no training, right? That's the only thing less you can do than once a week is now we don't train at all and we get stronger. No, but there's a proven track record of getting stronger training once a week. Is it desirable? Does it trump all other modes? No, it doesn't. But on the other hand, if you get put in that position, rest assured, my brother, that if you settle in and do it right, you can make some damn nice gains. I'm telling you. I did it, and I know guys that did better, a lot better than me, and they did it.
What about when the progress kind of peters out? I mean, what kind of variables would you suggest trying, to switch it up?
If you have the situation, and, if you're all right, well, what would be better than going from like a period of 1 week minimalism to go to 4 day a week? I mean, that would blow your muscles' mind, wouldn't it? To just go from the tiny, we do it all in 1 day, and all of a sudden, boom, you open it up and you're doing it 4 times a week.
Now you've said many times when you switch it up like that, it's got to be drastic.
Well, that's pretty damn drastic, going from 1 time a week training to 4 times a week training.
That's right. So that's a good example. So that's what you're talking about, being drastic.
Or with most individuals, they're training 4 or 5 times a week now. What we're suggesting, go back to once a week.
Right.
Ooh, they're like, oh my God, my muscles would melt away. And it's not true. Again, assuming that they adhere to the guidelines and the tactics and the techniques and the exercises that we prescribe, which most people are not willing to do. They'd rather do concentration curls and hammer strength inclines and seated leg, what's this one, leg press, right? And all the machine easy stuff, and ooh, I really trained hard there, but nothing ever happens.
So there's probably a lot of people that are listening going, okay, that's great for strength training, but I want to add size. So, I mean, would you say this program of once a week training is as effective in building muscle mass as it is for building strength?
Well, I guess it depends where they're coming from. If they're coming from a high volume bodybuilding template where they're doing a lot of really minor exercises like lateral raises and abductor, splits and machines and, you know what I mean, typical YMCA stuff. If they're coming from some sort of a background like that into a free weight squat bench deadlift regimen, I mean, they're in for the shock of their lives. I don't care who they are.
Yeah.
In the best way. I mean, that's where the gains are. I mean, it's a tough thing to say, but it's not necessarily pleasant.
Now you train a bunch of guys. Would you say they're mostly average guys down at the barn on Sundays?
It's guys from the neighborhood.
Guys from the neighborhood. So what kind of physical transformations are you seeing on these guys?
Well, every single one of them improves every week.
Yeah, they're getting bigger, gaining weight, more muscular, leaner, right?
Whatever direction they want to go, because we hold them accountable.
Yeah.
We ask them every week. They lift in front of us. They lift in front of the other lifters, and they value their opinions, and it's important to them that the group dynamic is invaluable. Right.
Right.
In terms of for alpha males taking their game to the next level, you lift in front of a bunch of guys whose opinions you respect and value. Well, you're going to bring it. And a lot of these guys, I mean, they're sitting there and they're lifting in front of myself, Kirk Karwoski, and Bob Myers, and I mean, we're ruthless. I mean, nothing personal, not to say anything bad against myself, but we don't suffer fools easy, right? And but these guys keep coming back, and they keep coming back, and again, we train at most. We'll push 12 athletes through in 2 hours, squat, bench, dead, boom, everybody's done, everybody goes home. Now, do they want to come in and train again during the week? Most of them don't, or if they do, they're going to do other stuff.
Like curls or something.
Yeah, like curls or, incline presses or, something like that.
Yeah.
But they're not coming in to squat or deadlift again, I'll tell you that. That's for damn sure.
Right. I got one more question for you.
Yes, sir.
I know we got to go.
Yep.
Would you say more world champion lifters have been created using a minimalization template compared to a volume template?
Well,
we had that discussion one time, I think.
See, I've been out of the loop. I can't speak for anything that's happened after, like, I don't know, 1996. So I can't. I don't know. I don't.
But up to that point.
Well, I mean, just.
I mean, because you trained with guys that still have records that haven't been broken to this day, and they were setting those records in the 90s.
I don't think anybody has exceeded the capacities or capabilities of an Ed Cohn, a Doug Fernasca, Kirk Karwoski, a Gene Bell, a Lamar Gant, a Dan Austin, Dave Jacoby. I mean, the list goes, Thor Kritzky, the list goes on and on. Willie Bell. I mean, when it comes to pure power, and we all essentially train the same way, and we knock the hell out of the squat, the bench, the deadlift 1 time a week. Now, did we do assistance work and extra stuff? Yeah, everybody had different strategies and what have you. But there was also a pretty good sizable contingent that's all they did. They squatted, they benched, they deadlift, and that's it.
Right. Now, actually, speaking of volume training, who are we having on next week? We've got a volume trainer coming on.
That's right.
I don't know if he's ever been described that way, but we've got Mr. Brad Gillingham coming on.
Yeah, multi-time world champion and world record holder.
Right.
The greatest American lifter of the last 20 years. In my opinion, the greatest drug-free super heavyweight lifter of all time. 900-pound deadlift, 600-pound bench press, 880-pound squat for a guy built all wrong for squatting, and a friend of mine for, God, I hate to think, 30 years.
That's what I really want to talk about when we get him on, because he started as a basketball player. He's 6'5". He started in basketball, got injured, and somehow switched over to powerlifting and became a world champion powerlifter. So I want to really get into that and see how that whole story went.
Hey, here's one clue. When he was in high school, you tracking? You with me?
Yeah.
When he was in high school, he high jumped 6'8".
Yeah, that's a big jump, man.
That's a pretty good indicator of future explosive power.
Yeah.
Right, 6'8". That's like, okay. Yeah, damn right.
Well, we talked about it. I mean, a lot of these great lifters were really good athletes, either in track or basketball or something. So,
well, I think he might have had some genetics.
Genetics, yes, absolutely. Well, his dad played. He played for the NFL, right?
His father was a Packer Lombardi 2-time Super Bowl winner, Gail Gillingham. He was the right guard in the the most famous Packer team of all time. Yeah.
Yeah, if only you and I would have had that genetics, half those genetics, what we could have done.
Well, you got dealt a pretty good hand there, buddy.
I do all right.
All right, now
I
look.
was never so much a power lifter, though. I just always enjoyed lifting very heavy weights.
Now look, I
never entered any competitions or anything. I wish I would have, but I didn't really have the coaching or anything.
Well, again, all right. Now
you
listen.
You were just down the street, and I never knew it.
Yeah, I know that was a tragedy. Now listen, I hate to part good company, but I've got a Swiss Alpine climber calling in here with instructions right before the World Championship.
Okay, do we have time to do the sign off real quick?
Yeah.
All right, we can't forget about that. All right, so like we said, check in next week, same day, same time. We're going to have Mr. Brad Gillingham on. That's going to be real interesting.
That'll be a good one.
Also, check out Marty's weekly column and podcast videos, Raw with Marty Gallagher, at ironcompany.com. Marty's also got his books, Purposeful Primitive and Strong Medicine. They're on our site, ironcompany.com. And then if you're looking for online training, Marty's available. He's got a few spots open. He's having some great success with clients from all over the world. So if that's something you might be interested in, go to ironcompany.com, go to the athletes page, and his contact information is on there, as well as Kirk's. And for all your equipment needs, and that means anything from rubber gym flooring to strength equipment to cardio equipment, go to ironcompany.com. And also check out the brand new Kirk bar, the Power Bar.
Yes.
Still enough time to get that thing in time for Christmas.
Indeed.
It's a beautiful color of blue. You'll love it. And I think that's it. We'll talk to you guys next week with Mr. Brad Gillingham.
That'll be a good one.